on today's episode of the Cryptoverse. While everyone's going mad about the Bitcoin price, let's check in with the Storj blockchain project, because they have just secured another $3 million of funding from venture capital. Dash Detailed is a weekly YouTube show about the privacy-focused digital currency known as Dash. It is hosted by the lovely Amanda B. Johnson and keeps you right up to date about all the exciting developments in the Dash ecosystem. Click the link in the video description and subscribe today. Hi there guys, and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I am your host, Chris Coney. Today is the 24th of February 2017. So let's begin with an announcement before we get into the market roundup and all the normal segments. Now, I know not everybody watches every episode of the Cryptoverse, so I need to make this announcement one more time. If you'd like to win some Bitcoin, please click the link in the video description and fill out my Cryptoverse feedback survey, which I'm going to do once a month. So if you want to win yourself some Bitcoin, go ahead and click that link and let me know what you think. So Zcash today has bounced back above the $30 mark, and it's now sitting right there at $30.92, having gained 14.68% today, and actually recovers some of the losses that it's had recently and leaves Zcash in 15th place by overall market cap. Now, losing about as much as Zcash gained in terms of percentage is Iconomy. Now, Iconomy sits at 30 cents a coin right now, and having lost 13.43% of its value. Now, Iconomy is in a close race right now with Steam for 11th place, and it has a long way to go to catch Augur, which has double the market cap. I mean, I think if you added Iconomy and Steam together by market cap, you would just about get the size of Augur. And even though Augur is 10th, Iconomy is 11th, and Steam is 12th. So you could add 11th and 12th together, and you'd get Augur, which is number 10. Anyway, following on from my comments yesterday about the battle for the private currencies in 5th place, it has happened. Since Dash has gained 8.21% and Monero has lost 5.06%, Dash has now taken the 5th place as the world's most capitalized coin. Dash now has a market cap of just under $182 million, and Monero has just under $169.5 million. Now, the wonderful thing about me sharing my insights on a daily basis is that everything is on the record. That means I have to be 100% accountable for what I say, for better or for worse. Now, that applies here because since I started the Cryptoverse, I have periodically said during the market roundup, I called Dash the dark horse. Some of you that have been with me from the start may actually remember that, because we even discussed it in the YouTube comments at the time. Now, I called Dash the dark horse because I could see it sneaking up to the top 5 slowly but surely. Now we need to see if the technology can prove itself when tens of thousands of transactions a day are running through the network. Over to the candlestick chart then, courtesy of Bitcoin Wisdom. Now, a big milestone for Dash, as we've just discussed, but an even bigger milestone for Bitcoin. Again, we didn't just tiptoe over the high, the all-time high of 1163. We completely smashed it, and we've set a new all-time high at $57 above that, which was $1,220. Now, for a moment there, Bitcoin traded for $1,220 each. Now, what's staggering is that the price is actually held above the previous all-time high. Actually, right now, it's trading just below that, 1161, and I'm highlighting that because I would have expected a bit of a panic sell when we hit the all-time high from people who believed that the price had topped out, and that sort of did happen here. As you can see from today's candle, it's got a big wide range that goes right down to a low of the day, which so far is 1090. So we did dip just below 1100 for a second there. That will have cleaned out some of the panic sellers who don't have or don't believe that the price will hold at this level. Now, those people have been swiftly replaced by people who do believe the price will hold, which is how come the price, shot right back up there to where we are now, which is, 11.55. Now, as always, this is not investment advice and is for educational purposes only, but in terms of trading strategy, I would probably put a buy order in around 11.01 in case there is another sell-off. Actually, I should have thought about that yesterday, to be honest, especially since as we approached that all-time high. If I'd have done that, the order would have triggered when it went down and dipped there, and I'd already be in profit by now. Under normal circumstances, though, I would expect to pull back to the trend line because, as you see here, we have a phase 1 and a phase 2. That phase 2 ended with the big red candle, which is where I last bought. Now we have this big phase 1. There has to come a point where the price overheats and it has to take a breath. And from a technical analysis point of view, the pullback to the trend line would be something like $1,000. Let's go check in with the Litecoin network then to see how it's getting on with segregated witness support. Dropped a little bit today, down actually 0.4%. And having factored that into my equation here, it puts the activation date at the 18th of April this year. That's well within the activation window, so that means that at this rate, Litecoin will activate SegWit in time. Bitcoin, on the other hand, still stagnating, 25.8% today. That means at this rate, it's going to take another 295 days to activate. It puts the activation date at the 15th of December. That's about 2 weeks too late. Now for the news story today, I've turned to Coindesk.com, widely regarded as like the Wall Street Journal of the cryptocurrency world, although I don't necessarily see that as a compliment. Now let's have a bit of fun in the comments with this one. Let me know what you would describe the Cryptoverse as. Like it's the so-and-so of the so-and-so world, or like Chris is like the something of something. Right, you have my permission to say whatever you like, so don't worry about offending me. Just use your best judgment and have a bit of fun with it. And whichever one makes me laugh the most, I'll see about featuring it on the show on Monday in the announcement segment. So also include your Bitcoin address so I can feature your address too, and maybe some people will send you a tip if it makes them laugh as well. Now, I've consciously chosen not to spend today covering a news story about the Bitcoin price reaching the all-time high. I figured that would be dominating the news today, and all those articles would pretty much say the same thing, and they would be out of date in a matter of hours. Now, the news in general is disposable, but whenever I can, I like to establish like ongoing themes that we can follow as they develop. And Storj is one of those threads. So let's see what this article has got to say for itself and what we can learn about a real application of blockchain technology. So it says here, Atlanta-based Storj Labs announced today it has raised $3 million in seed funding as part of a round that saw contributions from individual investors employed by VC firms, including Google Ventures, Qualcomm Ventures, and Techstars, according to the company. Now, seed funding. Venture capital has its own vocabulary, which lets you know at a glance where the investors believe the project is in terms of its development. In fact, I was a little bit surprised when they called it a seed round, because that normally means when you invest money so a project can build a proof of concept or build a prototype. And to my mind, Storj are already past that stage. However, since this is the first venture capital money that they've received, that's probably why they're referring to it as a seed round. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to learn the venture capital vocabulary. But moving on to the orange bit, it says CEO Sean Wilkinson said the funding marks the end of a long run of experimentation that has seen the company, now 13 employees strong, iterate a fledgling idea into one that can now leverage experimental technology to secure corporate partnerships. There we go. They still see it as experimental technology, so that's the basis on which they probably pitched it to investors. But at least they could demo it. I mean, I've even used it myself, and to the naked eye, it looks pretty well developed. And 13 employees, I hadn't really thought about that, but my perception was, having played around with the software, they had a lot more than that in my mind. I mean, never really questioned it. But that's really a testament to their software, and most crucially, their user interface, which is often the thing that most influences the perception of how well developed a product is, even if its functionality is lacking. At least it doesn't look like it. So the article goes on to say here, the funding will help Storj continue to build out its peer-to-peer file sharing marketplace to support more partners of the size of the cable provider Cox Communications, which inked a deal with the startup in December of last year. Sounds like Storj are making good progress here to cross the chasm. Now, depending on how long you've been following me, I've mentioned this book before, and if you're interested in understanding what makes the difference between disruptive technologies hitting the mainstream or not, I highly recommend investing the time to read this book, Crossing the Chasm, by Jeffrey A. Moore. It's as relevant to blockchain projects as anything. So the article then says that Storj's technology works by enabling an open network of users to provide data hosting to its clients via a blockchain, a service that the startup then sells to clients like Cox Communications using a traditional software-as-a-service model. Participants in the network then earn a digital token called a Storj coin, SJCX, for offering their computers and their storage capacity. Pretty cool, eh? In fact, you can actually yourself download the Storj Share app on your computer right now and start renting out some of your spare hard drive space. And if you don't believe me, check this out. This is the Storj Share app. And here you can see the address I want my rental income to be paid into, the amount of hard drive space that I'm renting out, how much of it is being used by the app, which in this case is all of it. Then we have how many other storage nodes that I'm connected to, how many individual pieces of files I'm storing, known as contracts, and so on. And each of those pieces, those contracts, are all encrypted files, so I don't know what's in them. Now I'm actually hosting 2 drives of 10 gigabytes each, which you can see if I click this drop down here. So say if you have multiple hard drives in your computer, you can rent out a bit of space on each of them. Then Storj monitors things like, how often your computer is online, how fast you serve the files, and a whole bunch of other performance criteria. This is what determines how much you earn. And it's a free market, remember, so the 10 gigabytes I'm renting out here on my Samsung 850 Pro solid state drive and my 100 megabit internet connection is going to be worth more to the network than, say, a regular magnetic hard drive in a laptop running on Wi-Fi. But if you fancy playing around with this yourself, I'll put a link to where you can download this app in the show notes as always. So thanks for joining me today, guys. If you liked this episode, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Please leave me a comment below with some feedback and get subscribed. And please support the Cryptoverse and boost cryptocurrency adoption by going to cryptoversity.com/podcast and becoming a patron. From as little as a few dollars a month, you can secure Cryptoversity's future, get unlimited access to all Cryptoversity courses, and access a private patrons-only chat group where you get direct access to me. That is all for today, guys, so I'll see you on Sunday for the live stream. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.